back to Backyard Boot Camp. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate your support in this endeavor. We are in the kitchen today. We are going to make one of my favorites, spaghetti squash casserole. It's a favorite of mine as well as a favorite of my friends, and I'm going to make some actually for them today. We start off with ground turkey, which I've already ground the turkey over here already, and your spaghetti squash. I just became acquainted with spaghetti squash probably about a year ago. Spaghetti squash, actually I don't have a raw one here, but it's a yellow squash like this that is very hard. It reminds me of carving a jack-o'-lantern. It's really hard to cut. One way that I found it makes it a little easier to cut is to poke holes in it with a fork and then take the knife and cut it. But many times I have to get my husband to help me with cutting the spaghetti squash. And on the inside, you have to take the seeds out and the strings and then bake it. I have one here that I didn't take the seeds out so that I could show you all that you just kind of clean that out and you can cook it like that. Actually, it's a lot easier. I didn't realize it was going to be so easy to come out, the seeds, and then you bake it. Take all the seeds out and the strings that are on the top, and then once it's baked, which takes probably about 35-40 minutes, you take it out. I usually let mine cool, and then you spoon out the spaghetti squash. And I spoon it into a bowl because I'm gonna mix everything in this bowl and then put it in the pan to cook. So you hollow that out. Get all the spaghetti squash out of there. This recipe actually has about, the serving size is about 300 calories, and I think it's like 25 grams of protein, which is why I like it. About 12 grams of fat, 4 grams of saturated fat, and it was maybe 14 carbs, so it's pretty healthy. Got some seeds there in there. So that's how your spaghetti squash comes out. That's the spaghetti part of the spaghetti squash casserole. And then you take your ground beef, or ground turkey in my case. A lot of people don't like ground turkey. You take your ground turkey and you put it in there, and you do it just like you do spaghetti sauce pretty much, because you're going to use the marinara sauce. Get a bigger spoon. You're going to take the marinara sauce and put it in there, and it's just going to be kind of like spaghetti sauce. Spoon that in. Out. Just dump the rest of this in here. I may need a bigger bowl. And then 1 can of diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce. The seasonings that I used in my ground turkey, I use Mrs. Dash Italian Medley. I use garlic powder in everything, minced garlic, and black pepper. Those were the seasonings, as well as chopped onions and bell peppers. Mix that up. Got spaghetti squash from the bottom down there. I think I am gonna need a bigger bowl. So I'm gonna do that. Gotta get one from up here. Let's just go ahead and nip that in the bud and get a bigger bowl here. Like I said, I'm making this for some friends, so I'm making quite a bit. And normally I just use 1 spaghetti squash for about a family of 4. Stir that up in there. And then I'm going to get my I Love Mama Garden's Mama's Special Garden Sauce by Ragu. Pour that in there. And because I'm making it for about 8 to 10 people, I'm using 2. Mix that on up. And once I have that mixed, I will be placing it in a casserole dish. All right, now that we have that all mixed up in there together, we are going to spoon it into a casserole dish. And I need to set my oven to 350. Just showed you that a little while ago. And we're going to spoon that into the casserole dish. And once you have that in your casserole dish, you will then smooth it out and place some low-fat mozzarella cheese on top. Thin layer of cheese on top. And once the oven is preheated to 350, you bake it. Everything is pretty much cooked, so all you're doing is waiting for the cheese to melt on the top. And once that's back out, I will show you how it looks when it's done. All right, kitchen is clean again, and our spaghetti squash is baking. I realized that I had some asparagus in the refrigerator that I hadn't cooked, so I figured while that's finishing up, I could show you all how I do asparagus. I have washed it and cut it. I cut the kind of flimsy pieces off. I like firm asparagus. And what I do is actually I forgot to spray my pan with some olive oil before you place it on the pan. And then just lay it out on the pan all flat. Then I take extra virgin olive oil and I sprinkle a little of it on the asparagus. And actually you can do this in a bowl also, because what I'm about to do is just kind of take it and mix it up in there. Let it get coated with olive oil. And then I, once again, use garlic powder on about everything. Add some garlic powder, black pepper, and another one of my favorites is Morton's Nature Seasoning. And sprinkle a little of that on there. And I top it off with balsamic vinegar. Sprinkle a little balsamic vinegar on. And once again, you can do that in a bowl and shake it all up and it should coat it, which I could have done it in that bowl but didn't. Coat it all up there. And then you place it in the oven and bake it. Once it is cooked to the consistency that you want it cooked, I like my asparagus a little firm, not too firm enough to bite into it and not have to chunk it off. But you know, some people like it real crunchy. I don't like mine real crunchy. I bake it probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and right before I take it out, I top it with Parmesan cheese. So right now what I'm going to do is go grab me a mitten, and our, maybe 20 minutes later, our spaghetti squash is ready to come out of the oven. And this is what it looks like. You let it cool and you can cut it and it's ready to serve. So that's gonna be a meal for me: spaghetti squash casserole and baked asparagus. Remember, abs are made in the kitchen, and if you want some abs, you need to make sure that you exercise as well as eat healthy. This is a part of my 30-day ab transformation. I don't know what they're going to look like when I finish, but I am going to try, because remember, you know your goals.